Suriname, a small nation with tremendous ethnic diversity. Even so, as a former colony of the Netherlands, the colony imported at least 200,000 Africans during the slave trade. It's not surprising that the overarching culture is a blend of West and Central Africa. What do we know about the enslaved individuals on this part of the South American continent? What influences can we trace back to Africa? First off, during this video, you will notice a brotherly connection between Jamaica and Suriname. These are more intrinsically connected than meets the eye. Also, bear in mind that it's nearly impossible to name all African ethnicities that shape the Afro-Surinamese culture. This can only be seen as an effort to paint a picture of our people. It has been known for a long time that most enslaved Africans were shipped not to North America, but to the South American continent, and Suriname is no exception. After the decimation of the local Amerindians, many African peoples were shipped against their will to work on the plantations. Some stayed behind, others escaped, forming their own communities, leading to related but distinct African Surinamese cultures. Cultural offsprings of Senegambia, West Africa, starting with the Fula people which originated around the Sahara, before migrating to Futa Toro, a region in Senegambia where they have a strong presence. The Tassili Najir rock art suggests their ancient origins up north. In the Fula language, Niam means to eat, which gave rise to Niang in the African Surinamese languages, Sranantongo, Saramakang, and Aukang. These Fula ancestors were among the citizens of the Walo kingdom of the 1200s, members of the legacy of Ndiane Indiane Ndai. According to oral stories, he was the son of Abu Bakr bin Omar of the Almoravid Moorish dynasty of Spain and a Fula woman. Building up the case of the Fula being present in Suriname, the Dutchman Hostmann listed the following nations during a survey in 1850: Soko, Mandingo, Abo, Fula, Minde, Tiamba, Luango, Ibo, and the Coromantee Negroes. Delving into the history of Senegambia, we need to consider also that the Fula, Tukulor, Serer, and Mandinka people have lived in close proximity for ages, so it is also possible that Nyam entered the Afro-Surinamese languages through the people groups I just mentioned. In addition, we have a freed African woman of Fula heritage named Anna Petronella Bonkorat of Plantation Malhope. Shifting to Ghana, another part of West Africa, we have the Akan peoples consisting of different nations. Most, if not all, were shipped from coastal forts in Ghana like Fort Coromantine, Elmina, Cape Coast, Axim, and more. Fort Coromantine being one of the most popular ones, which is why the Akans were known as the Coromantines, or Cromanti. It seems reasonable to assume that the Surinamese form of African spirituality called Winti, meaning wind, has a strong Akan component, as the name of the creator being Anana Kediamang Kediampong, which is a derivative of Onyakumpong, the creator's name in multiple Akan languages. And Anana seems to be based on Nana, meaning Your Highness in Chui. These Akan peoples that transmitted the Nansi stories found on Curaçao also passed on the Anansi stories to Suriname. In the Surinamese version, his wife is called Akuba, meaning born on a Wednesday. The descendants in the interior of Suriname, also known as the Maroons, still used Akan naming conventions. Next are the Nago, referring to a faction of the Yoruba people living in modern-day Benin. The term Nago was used by the Fon people, describing the Yoruba people of the Ketu kingdom. Ketu was the westernmost of the 7 historical Yoruba kingdoms, and an ally of the Yoruba Oyo Kingdom during the wars with the Fon people of the Dahomey. Most people assumed that the Yoruba influence was negligible in Suriname. However, Jan Nepveu, the Dutch governor during the 1700s, stated the following: "The Papa, Nago, Arada, and other slaves, who commonly are brought here under the name Fida, have introduced certain devilish practices into their dancing, which they have transposed to all other slaves. When a certain rhythm is played, they are possessed by their god, which is generally called Watramama. Watramama, or Mamiwata, appears to be a composite figure of Amerindian and West African heritage, but she is known in Yoruba proper as Yemoja. I would argue that the reason we don't see a clear Yoruba influence in Suriname is because it became amalgamated. In fact, the Fon people of Arada and Dahomey lived within the Yoruba sphere of influence for a long time. Thus, this may be the reason for the indirect Yoruba element in the Surinamese culture. Now highlighting a forgotten link to Jamaica, as I stated in the beginning of the video. In Jamaica there's a language called Jamaican Maroon Spirit Language, preserved by some Jamaican Maroon peoples. A spin-off of early Stranantongo and Saramakang, as they used to be one language before diverging. Bringing it back to the word nyam and juk, meaning to eat and to step in the Fula language, it's clear that the Afro-Surinamese and the Afro-Jamaicans have a shared heritage in the Fula people, in addition to the Akan and Igbo peoples, among others. The proof is in the pudding. As you can see on your screen, these languages are related. Let me give you the historical background. In 1667, the colony of Suriname was taken over by the Dutch from the English colonists. As a result, most of the British plantation owners migrated to Jamaica with their enslaved captives. The estimation is that around the 1670s, at least 981 Africans were taken from Suriname to Jamaica. Jamaica had only been in English hands since 1655. Therefore, the effect of the Surinamese Africans must have been impactful since they entered the scene during the formative period of the Creole languages on Jamaica. Referring to their impact, there also used to be a place in Jamaica called Suriname Quarters, where Jamaican spirit language is still spoken. And here is where I will end the story. You can find the resources down below. For more concise sources, such as the page numbers, etc., join and support me on Patreon so I can expand this team and video quality. If you watch till the end, you're awesome. Really. Please like and subscribe and share so that we can remember what we have forgotten. Peace.